In today's video, we're going to go over randomness in Swift. To start off, let's learn how to get a random number within a certain range. We're going to declare a dice object, and we're going to say is equal to int.random in, and we have to pass in a range. A dice has 6 sides, so we're going to say 1 through 6. Then we could just print out whatever we rolled. So we're going to print you rolled, and then we're going to pass in this dice with string interpolation. I'll bring up the console over here, and we're going to run this project. We rolled a 5, and we could keep rerunning this over and over again, and we'll get a random answer every single time. Awesome. This could work with any range. So we could also go from like 4 to 6, right? Give us a random number between 4 through 6. We'll get a 6, a 5 again. We're always going to be between this range, so either 4 through 6. And you can pick any numbers you want. We can also do a bigger range, like let d20 equal int.random from 1 through 20. And then instead of all this, we're just going to print out d20. 16, 4, you get it. We don't just have to print out an integer. We can also do the same thing with floats or doubles. So we could say let random double equal double.random in, and we specify a range. Let's go from 1 through 10. And then we just print out a random double, and we get a really long decimal. All right. In addition to getting a random number within a range, we can also get random elements. Let's say that we have a list of quotes, like so, and we want to get a random one. So we're going to say if let quote equal quotes dot, and we want to get a random element from the array. So we're going to say random element, like so. Then we're just going to print out that quote. So we're going into array, we're going to pick a random element, and we're going to print it. We're getting this less is more a few times. But yeah, so that's how that works. In the real world, this is practical for things like games, where you want to have a loot box that drops a random element. So we're going to define a loot array with a sword, shield, potion, gold, and magic ring. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. And then we could say let dropped item equal loot.random element. And then we could just print out our dropped item. So this is good for stuff like loot drops, or if you want to get some random dialogue from an NPC. Alright, as a bonus, we're going to take a look at this example. In Pokemon, there's a 1 out of 4,096 chance to get a shiny Pokemon. How do we write a similar function? I'm going to show you 2 different ways. We're going to say func is shiny, and that's going to return a boolean. Int.random in, and we have to specify a range. The possible range is 1 out of 4,096, so that's the range that we're going to pass. 1 all the way to 4,096. And we're going to check if that random number equals a random number. So let's say 1. You could put any number here, since theoretically all of them have a 1 out of 4,096 chance of happening, of equaling this number. So the number 1 has an equal likely chance of occurring as the number 7, or as 3,094. Right? So this could be any number here. We're checking if that random number that we get is equal to 1, or any random number that you want. And if this is true, then we get a shiny Pokemon. So this is our isShiny function. And you can see that I implemented this function into this Xcode project right here. What this does is every time we hit this reroll button up here, it's going to come down here and it's going to update the sprite. If it's shiny, then it's going to show a shiny sprite. Otherwise, it's going to be the regular sprite. So I'm going to hit this reroll button a couple of times. Hopefully we can get a shiny on camera. No way! Shiny Charizard. We can also take this one step further. Let's go back to our playground. Let's say we want multiple chance probabilities of happening. Like you have a 1 out of 100 chance to get some kind of weapon from a mystery box, or a 1 out of 10,000 chance to get something even better, like a skin or an upgrade. To do that, we can just write a new function. So we're going to say func happens 1 in odds. We're going to pass an integer, and that's going to return a boolean. And down here, we're just going to say int.random in, And the specified range is going to be whatever we pass. So it's going to be 1 all the way to whatever we pass in this odds parameter. And we're going to check if that equals to 1. Because we don't know what the maximum end of our range is going to be, the safest thing to do would be check if this equals to 1. And then down here, we can have another function called open mystery box. And we can start checking different probabilities. If happens 1 in, let's say it's a 1 in 10,000 chance. You could write 10,000 like this, or you could write it like this. It's the same thing. Then we're going to give a legendary weapon. Else, if something happens 1 in, let's say, 100, then we're going to give a rare weapon. Otherwise, we're just going to give a common item. So that's how you can assign different odds to different actions. And then we just open our mystery box down here. We could keep running this and we get nothing special, obviously, because the chances of getting a legendary or a rare weapon are extremely low. But yeah, feel free to use these methods in your own projects. I'd love to see what you come up with. Anyway, that's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.